Promised Land, which is the sort of mainstream cinema, but basically TV drama-like version of Gasland. Do you remember Gasland? Reviewed it before, the documentary about fracking. Fracking, which is a way of getting gas out there that creates all these terrible environmental problems. And
well, or maybe it doesn't.
Okay.
But some people say that it might do. And many people say that it doesn't.
In the Gasland documentary, there is a man who can set fire to his tap.
Yes.
I don't think there's any maybe about whether that's a problem.
No, but you can't. Documentary makers have a particular axe to grind, don't they? And so you can portray the facts in any old way you want.
The man sets fire to his tap.
Or maybe he had a faulty tap. Maybe he was a fire breather.
Okay, fine.
Maybe there's a dragon in his home.
Other opinions are available.
Yes.
I'm not saying that all fracking causes the man's tap to catch fire.
Some people have a problem with fracking. You can say that.
Yes, some people like the maker of the documentary in which the man sets fire to his tap.
But it might have been just a gas tap with a Bunsen.
Or it might have been a tap in a sink. Anyway, so the story is Matt Damon plays this guy from a company who are called Global. And their deal is that him and Francis McDormand have to go from community to community buying up land. And he's very, very good at it because he says, I'm from this area, I know these people. He's just been promoted, so it's very, very important that he closes, that he gets the deals closed. He goes to this town in which the farming industry is completely in decline, and he goes there with the offer of a huge amount of money to buy the fracking rights to the town. But when he's there, he thinks it's going to be a real easy deal to close. There is a codgery old bloke there who he doesn't take very seriously, but turns out is a retired scientist who says, you all need to Google fracking. And he also says you need to Google the film of a guy setting fire to his tap. Then the next thing you know, along comes John Krasinski. Who was in Away We Go, who is apparently from an environmental group of which he's never heard before called Athena. Here's a clip.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr.
Yates. My name is Frank Yates.
Mr. Yates, are you with an environmental group?
No.
No. Well, what line of work are you in, sir?
I'm a teacher at the high school.
A teacher?
I teach science. What about you, Mr.
Okay, yeah, well, I deserve that. Steve Butler is my name. I'm a consultant here with Global. I only caught the tail end of what you were saying, but you seem like someone who's done his homework. Could I ask you, though, where'd you get your information?
Mr. Butler, you and I both know the information I've been talking about is vast and detailed.
You're probably right. I'm not the guy with all the answers.
Oh, well, then you'd be the perfect guy for them to send here to deny everything.
And that, of course, wasn't John Krasinski, because that was a different clip. It doesn't matter, still did the thing very well, because that's the guy who stands up and turns out to be the old scientist. So, essentially what happens is they have to stay longer than they thought, because on the one hand, they've got the old guy who has Googled fracking, and on the other hand, they have this guy who's turned up from the eco agency called Athena, of whom they've never heard before. So they're going to have to stay. And whilst they're staying, both Matt Damon and the Krasinski character both sort of start to fall in love with the local teacher played by Rosemary DeWitt, and she becomes this figure as to, which way is the moral centre of the film going to go. Now, it's obviously no surprise that the film is basically going to have Matt Damon wrestling with his conscience, because as he spends more time in the community, he sort of starts to fall in love with the community, and he starts, that very much kind of local hero way, or the way which is pretty much standard for this sort of drama. Meanwhile, Frances McDormand desperately just wants to get back home to her child from whom she is separated by being out on the road. She doesn't want to be out on the road, and he has to decide whether or not he's going to put his job first, or his personal life first, or his personal conscience first. Now, there is a big twist which comes in the plot, which I have to say, if you didn't see it coming a mile away, you weren't looking hard enough, because the twist is very, very heavily flagged up. Sorry, that's just the way it is. It's directed by Gus Van Sant, who, divides his time between, on the one hand, doing very annoying arty experimental films like that, Last Days thing, the thing that was sort of inspired by Last Days of the, frontman of Nirvana, and this much more kind of mainstream. This is basically middle of the road, mainstream, well-intentioned campaigning fare. Not remarkable, but not bad. Matt Damon's very good. Now, actually, the thing that makes it good is that the incidental characters are rather well drawn. Whereas whereas in lesser fare of this type, the incidental characters will be literally just not even thumbnail sketches, just maybe finger painting was about as far as they would go. But this does have a very, I mean, Frances McDormand is really, really well done. I mean, she's a supporting character as opposed to an incidental character. There's a guy in the local store who sort of starts to fall in love with Frances McDormand. He's only on screen 10 minutes or something in total, but he's really well drawn. He's kind of interesting, and you do get a sense that there really is a community. It is quite clearly a campaigning movie in the mode of something like, Erin Brockovich, although nothing like comparable with Erin Brockovich. But it was kind of diverting. It just made me think, I think everybody should go and see Gasland and then decide for themselves why it is that the man's tap is catching fire.